Hey everybody, welcome to the paint stream. In this paint stream you can see a palette filled with assorted amounts of colors, and then also the belly, which is covered by my Hawaiian shirt. With me today, I will have color commentary by Ryan. He is painting some blighted trollkin from Prep Press's War Machine, which are looking really cool. And I am working on a bunch of Age of Sigmar stuff. Most importantly, the giant cave squig and loon boss from the new Loon Curse box set. Now, before you ask, these aren't mine. These are commissions, and I don't have access to any more Loon Curses, unfortunately, because they were not enough made for how cool it was. But while you guys are here, I'll be going over what I'm doing. I'll be taking questions, I'll be asking questions, and hopefully y'all can participate and keep me company. So that'd be super cool. I'm pulling up the stream to see if I can get your questions. And outside of that, just let me know. Trying to see if the stream's live on the regular Facebook page. So, nope, doesn't look like it's live on Facebook, but I think we are live on other things. Such as Gigabytes TV, on Twitch. Scroll down. I'm going to go ahead and pull up Twitch, so if you guys are watching on Twitch, feel free to ask questions and do all of that fun stuff. There we go. Alright, I am on Twitch. So, let me actually share this. Alright. Cool. We're at least on Twitch. The superior format, right? With what's that?
Patricians' choice.
Who?
Patricians. Opposite of plebeians.
Oh. I see what you did there.
We'll flip to your Facebook shorts, whatever.
I am currently mixing up a nice little skin tone for the goblins. I'm going to be doing their first highlights. Their base coat was actually a little bit of Iosin green mixed with Ordic olive. So I am taking that mix and adding it a little bit to bog moss to make a nice kind of muted highlight. Because the idea is I want these guys to look pretty fleshy. And the only way I'm going to do the like fleshiness of them is going to be by basically a slow glazing layer of some muted tones over this nice bright but deep saturated green. And I might have to desaturate the shadows a little bit just to push them forward, but I'm trying to kind of like play around a little bit with color theory. So, join me, won't you, as we explore and experiment. And if you are working on anything else, feel free to tell me what you're working on in chat, because I am reading. So one of the things I like about the Games Workshop models that I often forget to people who like aren't into miniature wargaming a lot is how oversized their hands are compared to the rest of them. Games Workshop does this thing called heroic scale, which is a fancy term saying, hey, we made the hands and heads absolutely gigantic. And it's just part of the style that they have adopted. They're kind of steering away from it with a lot of their newer like lines, like the Stormcast and the Primaris Marines, are going more towards like your standard kind of like comic book scale, like your 8 heads tall kind of thing. But there are some holdovers like the goblins and the orcs and the things like that that still have that old heroic scale. And it is, I don't know, part of the charm of playing goblins, at least in my mind, is kind of how bulbous their heads are. Because they have a lot of character. And a lot of that is due to, you know, the scale that Games Workshop makes these guys at. And luckily enough, the skin is not like a super predominant feature on the sculpt. And what that means is for me, I have less area to worry about making look natural in terms of like a believable skin tone. And I can kind of push things a little bit more because I have to worry about less area to overall color. So it's basically saying I have less to work with and I can kind of cheat. And there's also, like, I am planning this model out very, particularly. I am making sure I'm painting the bottommost layer of texture to it. Like, so the lowest layer of material on him is skin, right? So that means I have a little bit more freedom to, like, hit the edges as I'm working on the skin, because a lot of it is tucked away. And I don't have to worry about, you know, being like, oh, poop, I accidentally covered over something I painted before, because this is the absolute first level. And it is pretty freeing. And this guy's going to be getting, like, a little bit paler. This guy's also a loon boss. So, thinking about the story-wise, you know, goblins don't necessarily live all too long. I'm not sure if that's 100% correct, but it feels correct because they're kind of insane and they do a bunch of things that would not engender them to a long lifespan. But a Loon Boss is one that has at least lived long enough to climb the ranks without the use of filthy magic to the whatever their tribe's view a chieftain is, right? So he's going to be a little bit older, so I want his skin to be a little bit paler than the average goblin in this army. And so starting off with that like saturated green. Rachel, there's something for you behind the counter. There's something for you behind the counter. I gave it to Nasha, so ask Nasha. And yeah, so yeah, the idea is to really kind of like desaturate the skin tone, make them look weathered. Maybe I'll put a scar on one of them. Would a scar be rad, Ryan? Like scar or tattoo, or
Scar.
Yeah.
I don't feel like they're very tattooey, especially because we don't really have like wild forks anymore.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, face paint is also an option, but I like the idea of a scar. I haven't done like a painted on scar in a bit. We can really make this guy look like a veteran. So these guys, like, for just being a rider, have a lot of detail. And the idea is I really wanted to do a good job on the Squig, and I did not want to miss any detail on the rider, so I opted for a 2-build paint. So one for the rider, one for the Squig. I don't think I needed to separate the pieces any more than that, but time will tell if that was right or not. And if I am off screen, please yell at me. So, but yeah, this guy is a whole heck of a lot of fun. But yeah, if you can always do multiple builds, I recommend it. It gets you to think about your model in a different way, and it also prevents like common errors like not being able to get everywhere you need to is like, you know, the first thing that it solves, but it also, to me, helps me think about the model in a little bit more 3D sense, because I can like lift up the stand or the plinth or whatever I put him on, and I can manipulate that and, you know, roll it around and kind of see what I need to do. So, yeah, always be aware that you can 100% move things around to better your ability to paint. I'm doing a little bit of blending with the original green and a little bit of this like off worm green. And it'll be a couple coats before I get to a coverage point that I'm going to like. There was a lot of back and forth on the original one. And by the original one, I mean the first one. Just with how like things are done detail-wise. So I think my like biggest issue with the new Gloomspite Gith line is the detail is amazing, but their eyes are so small that it drives me up the wall. So their eyes are almost like pinprick size, and I'm trying to think of a way how to, you know, paint that with like an actual iris and all that and make it look good, and I don't think there's a way, at least at my skill level. I'm sure there's a lot of other painters who are much more talented than me who can do it. And the next thing I worry about is when I paint the mask, accidentally knocking out any details I put in, because the skin and the mask kind of ride next to each other. So it is very important to be aware and take the time that you need to take at parts that you have in order to get the best out of your mini. Yeah, that's a nice looking head. But one of the reasons why I'm doing this now and not working on the Squig like the stream advertises is the fact that the Squig, I just painted the interior of the mouth, and it is currently drying, so I don't necessarily want to jump to the next point of the Squig before everything dries, because more than likely I'm going to push around that paint, and if I do that, it'll look not nearly as good. Ryan, Emily called us nerds. How are we going to take that? Yeah, I guess so. Oh, wait, when you say jumpy, is it like Salt and Pepper's jump around, or is it skipping, or crackling, or is it like Jump by Van Halen? I don't know any other jump songs.
Oh, did I say jump?
No, Emily said that the audio quality was jumpy. I was hoping it was going to start going on like a long list of jump songs, but I got two.
Crisscross. I'm gonna make you.
Oh yeah.
My personal favorites. That Jumper by Third Eye Blind.
Oh yeah, Third Eye Blind. That's a good one. I had to listen to a lot of Van Halen in my earlier days.
Who doesn't love Van Halen now?
I'm not a big classic rock guy, Ryan. Van Halen would be considered classic rock, right?
Yeah, it's dad rock.
Like, I really like Foreigner.
Who doesn't?
Yeah, see, like,
Vision?
yeah. Foreigner is
Do you
amazing.
have the belt, John?
Oh my god.
The Foreigner belt?
Like,
It looks like you're cold as ice.
I want to cosplay as Carl with the Foreigner belt so bad. I'm not. Are you part of the Age of Sigmar Facebook group, Ryan?
Possibly? I don't know. I'm in way too many of those.
Yeah. Welcome to Working on Gigabytes. So, basically, someone took Karl Franz, the general of the Empire, and then put his costume on.
That
Carl.
was old Warhammer Online.
Yeah.
We used to throw that around.
Yeah. Ain't nobody gonna tell me how to rock. Right, Joe?
You coming into my house? You want to tell me how to rock?
Why hasn't anyone made an Aqua Teen Hunger Force board game?
No.
Put in the Moonanites and a bunch of references. Let me play as Billy Witch Doctor. Okay, Emily says the sound is fixed. Arise, chicken. Arise. Chicken arise. Whew.
want those contrast paints. I don't have to worry about painting units.
Yeah, like that's my big. So that's my big thing with contrast paints is I get to like do a fine quality on all my normal stuff, but like units and chaff, just pump it out, baby.
Yep. It's like sitting here like painting this these blood gorgers.
Yeah.
It's
like,
pain.
could you imagine just like coming in and being like, okay, here's the armor coat and here's the. Actually, no, because like I think there isn't a metallic contrast. Hey. But like you could paint the cloth and then you could paint the skin, and then come in with the metallics and call it a day.
Yeah.
Or just don't paint it all and call it a day. That's what I do.
Oh.
Get out of here, Coffee Cofferson.
Wait, 'cause my voice actually sounded better yesterday than I played Overwatch.
Why do you
There's
gotta?
your problem.
Yeah.
That's what got you sick.
No, it's not what got me sick. Screaming at my teammates for being fucking idiots.
Language, Mark.
Yeah.
Also, Mark has not obviously listened to Taylor Swift's new song, in which she teaches people how to spell, and says, "There's no I in team." But oddly enough, there is a me. All right. I really need a hair dryer for this like squig mouth. There's just too much. So like you guys can kind of see what's working on with the squig, and how it's progressing. So the issue that I'm having with it is the paint, as I put it on, it's a fairly thin paint coat. So what it's going to do is go down to the bottom and start pooling. And as it's pooling, it's not drying because it's just adding more and more liquid. So at the bottom of the mouth, which, you know, you can see if you're looking straight onto it, so it does need to get painted. It's too wet and it's not drying quick enough. So the upper portions of the mouth pretty much done, good to go to the next step. The bottom portion is probably about like a step or two behind, just because of dry times. And so as I'm waiting for it to dry, I'm going to keep bouncing back to the goblins. And the next step is to take a sickly skin. And so you take sickly skin, which is like an eggshell greenish color, and we're going to mix in a little bit of that lighter green color that we had for the previous skin tone. And so it's all building on top of each other. Okay, great. Joe, can you leave your phone here so I can keep track of both chats? Thank you. Or you can pull it up. Oh, it's pulled up there. That's great. Yeah, you don't have to worry about that. All right, cool, guys. We're on Facebook. We're live. We're doing it. Thank you, Joe, for fixing that. So Facebook is your preferred method. You can hop over there, or if you're just joining us because we just went live, say howdy ho, or just howdy. Howdy, howdy, howdy. So, I did get this particular green really thin. And the idea is to slowly glaze it over. And basically the glazing in its simplest form is applying a semi-transparent coat of paint in order to adjust the coat underneath it in a more subtle way than just layering it on, right? So it's a little bit less intense layer that allows for kind of a big shift. So, if you guys have never glazed before, I am happy to show you.
420 glaze it?
Yep, 420 glaze it, as Mark would say, but he's not here. And the idea with it, or the stream in general, is to help everyone who comes to Gigabytes to improve their painting skills. I don't do this because I really enjoy sitting in front of a camera with a mic on. I do this because I want people to become better painters, and I know the struggle of, especially like starting out when you get going with painting, and not necessarily finding the resources that you want or need when you first get going. And so let me be that first step, and maybe we can make some better painters here in the Atlanta area, or even.
Censor me, Joe.
Yeah, Joe, why do you just assume Akira's going to swear?
I'm not. I'm just making sure. I don't swear.
I
Yeah.
already used up John's one F word. He was not allowed.
And so what I'm doing now is I'm coming in with just pure sickly skin on the face, and I'm just doing some spot highlights.
Would you?
It's not in yet. It hasn't shown up yet. So, yeah, with this, every step that I take, every move that I make, I am reevaluating the previous layer's like intensity. So, since I've moved things to be a little bit brighter up towards the top, that means I can push that like mid-tone I laid down to be a little bit back, and it increases the range of gradient that I have on the head. So just kind of makes it look a little bit nicer. And since I have all these paints currently available to me, since they are all mixed, I am taking advantage of it and really kind of pushing the colors. But make sure that your brush is wet as you are doing it, and really kind of work both ways. And with that, you will really kind of push the smooth, subtle blends. And yeah, until contrast paints come out, Ryan.
Yep. Excited. The lazy paint.
Yeah. So those who haven't heard, and we'll probably talk about this tomorrow on the Rambles, but Games Workshop is coming out with a new line of paints called Contrast, and they are basically these really thick kind of gloss paints that will
Base, highlight, and wash?
Yes.
all in one?
Yeah, and so basically the idea is that they are so pigment concentrated and like semi-transparent that when they sit on a like a model with, you know, let's say white primer or whatever, they will naturally go to the crevices and pool, and where the paint is more concentrated there, it'll be deeper, it'll be darker, and then where the paint has time to like move off the top of, it'll become lighter. And they have like two different undercoats, and they're both kind of off-whites. And the reason why they did that is because white primer is notorious for being terrible.
It's titanium.
Yep, the titanium flakes are too big to go through a paint, like a spray nozzle. Which is why a lot of companies won't do white primers or like anything like that, because the only other way to get white is lead. Yeah, see? The Magic School Bus taught us something, right, Ryan?
Indeed.
I don't even...
Thanks, Miss Frizzle.
I don't know if that was an episode, but I feel like it would have been. It's like...
I could definitely see like Arnold like eating lead and
Yeah.
like yelling at him.
Arnold!
Arnold.
Oh, wait, no, that's Carlos. Like Carlos making a bad eating lead chip joke. But yeah, so the titanium flakes, they just don't have a way of really kind of knocking down the size of, and we don't have a better way of getting a white pigment. So Games Workshop is doing a transparent white, or not transparent, like an off-white, in order to,
What, like a
so there's one, like, yeah, it's
shell?
yeah, it's an eggshell and then a gray, which is really cool. And oh, hi, Mark. Mark Buffington's in here. Oh, hey, Dane. But yeah, so I am doing the hardest part of goblins and trying to get the eyes knocked in. But yeah, and that was actually pretty easy. But it's maybe because I'm just doing like a single coat. And so after this step, I'm probably going to come in with a slightly thinned down wash or shade and just kind of add a little bit of depth. And it's mainly going to be for like the cracks and crevices of the skin. So like in between the fingers, behind the neck, in between the ears, all that sort of stuff. And it's to help define the areas, but also kind of define the lighting of the model itself. So it's more or less just a little bit of an extra touch to give it that whole finished quality. And I'm going to do a couple little, like, hey, this is where the light's coming from dot. So I'm going to do like a big, like, little shine dot there. Boop, boop. Paint it kind of like a gem. Make sure it sits even. Highlight the ears. Drop a couple spot highlights. And call him a relative day. Boop. Boop, boop, boop. All right. This guy's head's done. Now on to the next guy's head. Oop. And dropping the thing. Hey, Ross. Thanks for joining. So yeah, doing the next step on this gobbo, bringing him up. So hopefully you guys can see the side-by-side comparison. I'm not necessarily sure how well this is going to show up on camera, but we have one that is, more done versus less done, and it depends on the focus that the camera's going to have. It might be something that we want to work later on. Yeah. Focus. Anyways.
Do you have autofocus on, or did you take it off?
No, it's off. So we just, we're doing it raw. Raw dogging it.
It's illegal to now.
Yep. So, on to the next step. On this guy, it is once again layering it on, and every time you move on to, like, you're doing an assembly line, and this is a very short assembly line since it is literally 2 goblin loon bosses. But the idea is you're getting faster and faster on each one that you do. Right, Ryan?
I guess. I mean, it's the idea behind it. Does it ever work that way? Does it work that way for you, John?
Only when I'm on, like, the last guy in the line.
You're just like,
It's like,
enough.
the last guy in the line, I'm always like, I've unlocked how to do the step now faster. I will not. Oh, he was the last. Okay. And that's usually my interaction with it. So, but the idea is to learn and get better and do all that fun stuff. And there's nothing to say that this will be my last loon boss.
Only you can make that call.
Only the money people offer me can make that call. I do take commissions, but I charge an absolute boat ton. Because money is precious, and so is my time.
Precious.
So, it is all good. And as before, I am slowly, with this glazing technique, building up the uppermost highlight on this guy. And then I'll also be adding in the scar on this one. So y'all get to see a little bit of like freehand / scarification techniques. And I'll go through how I'm doing that. So yeah, it's I'm hoping this is interesting going back and forth to y'all, but never assume. Someone taught me that. I can't remember. Oh, nice. The blue dragon's going to be awesome. Looking forward to seeing that, Ross.
These dudes have hams too.
When you say hands, you mean like uncovered hands or?
Hams.
Oh, hams. Yeah, man.
Girl.
You got to bring your battle ham with you.
Apparently.
Like, before Crix goes into battle, they're like, all right, sword, axe, wallet, ham. Got it.
Yep. Got me hams.
Hum, please.
Ham, girl.
So, there's a little bit of difference between this guy and the last one. At least the fact that he has a pole arm, the other one has a sickle. It only makes a slight difference in painting like one hand because it's in a slightly different pose, and the light will have to hit it differently. But it's not enough to really like say, yo, I can't do that. And something to like learn, I guess, with painting models, one of the things that I had issues with is that like the perception that I had to do a lot of work to get an effect that I wanted. And a lot of times you want your paint to work for you, right? So using thin coats allows there to be transparent paint that can help things blend for you. You don't have to always hand blend every single detail and get that result that you want. A lot of it is going to be, you using tricks and things like that to save time. And it doesn't diminish your paint quality at all or ever. It's just how things go, right? It is you investing in the best way to use your time to do your best. Boop. And I'll be coming back with probably a red ink to do the ear tips on this little gobbo. And the reason why I'm doing that is, once again, show an area where there's like more blood flowing, visual character, and it is also a way of adding in more color to the model without detracting from the color scheme. Because like if I wanted to add like a red in here to kind of break up things, and I just like added some like red cloth or whatever, it may not look as good. But adding a red tint of something to like an ear or hands, or maybe like a little damaged area, like what I'm doing with the scar, could add a lot of visual interest. And what I'm going to start doing is working on this scar.
The one that didn't turn out so well because they were too dark.
Just like color-wise, or
Yeah, just color-wise. It's kind of hard. Like, it's a really dark green gloss. It's one of the forest one.
yeah, it's hard to tell like what color.
And
Before you lay them out.
I'm actually going to do
Yeah.
Best color in that set. I don't care
a
what the
series of scars on his face, just to kind of make it look like he had to tussle with something much bigger than him.
Do this fucking so hard. How many rounds did you go before you said no?
We only played 3.
So you played all 3?
Yeah, Ryan was a trooper. Those of you who didn't know, we had our Who's the Boss last weekend, in which Ryan was victorious in going 3 rounds.
I did pretty well for going up against a 75-point list.
Oh,
The 50-point list.
Oh, were we supposed to have 75-point lists?
No.
No.
And how did this happen? What happened, Ryan?
Oh, my first round opponent thought it was a 75-point list.
Uh-oh.
Yep.
But I was only running 50. I was like, man, that's a lot of models out on the field for 50 points.
And hilarity ensued.
So I won 1 by technicality.
Hey, I'm actually going to play tonight.
Win's a win.
Because I'm still waiting on some parts from Privateer Press. But I now have my choo-choo train robot ready to go. And I have a full 75-point list for Cruci Guard. You just gotta get it primed and painted and put together.
Sit on down, Vic.
I didn't bring anything with me. I'm gonna get ready for Epic Stories tonight.
Nice.
I'm gonna get my ass handed to me for the first time.
I'm gonna stream it because it should be fun.
Oh god, best of 1, I assume.
Yeah, it would be best of 1.
Thank you. Also, how much is the ice cream stuff?
It's $2.25.
The boss would know.
Yeah, we now have ice cream at Gigabytes.
Yeah, I've been putting it in the suggestion box for a while.
Force of Will players are the ones mostly putting it in.
Yeah, just like all of us were like.
It was ice cream.
I think it was mostly me though, the lactose intolerant one.
No,
But you have the freezy pops. That's all it matters.
no, Steven was really bad. He was putting it in like every week.
See, I'd put it at least in once a month, once every 2 weeks. But what would you even be playing for DS, by the way?
No, I'm not playing.
If you were.
What's gonna be
So
Seer,
little bit of black.
I was gonna say Seer Lucifer, so you get those sick runes.
Seer Resard.
Which Resard? 1 or 2?
1.
Flip him with a bunch of stuff face down already.
Very win con.
What?
He's a win con. He's a win con.
I'm gonna go back over to the other side.
I'll do it in a bit.
I assume you're gonna finish painting those units.
Yeah, they're about done.
I wish the camera had enough detail to pick up the freehand. Do do do. And so yeah, get some nice little scar effects on him. Da-da-da. Don't mind me, I'm just being crazy and painting the pupils in this tiny little eye cavity. And as always with eyes, just make sure to do a little bit of a specular highlight in them, trying to follow the path that you already set up. Boop. And if you goof, like I just did, remember you can always go back.
No mistakes, John.
Only happy accidents. I'm
Except
gonna,
when you're painting eyes. Those can't be mistakes.
doing a little bit of eyeliner on this bro, just so I can
Eyeliner, bro.
give him some cat eyes. Just meow. Same with Scarface McStabbyton. God, why is there like a million notifications on my phone? All right, perfect. All right, it's at least as perfect as these guys are going to get. All right, now on to the shade. Oh, I also want to do a kind of gray iris on the blank eye. So once again, it won't matter in the grand scheme of things, but it'll make me feel better. Ryan, check out the
I can't paint eyes.
but also the scar on the head.
Oh, yeah.
It's all freehand, baby.
Nice.
A lot of times I would like just sculpt on the scars or scratch on the scars, but it's a good job. Adds a lot of visual interest. Thank you for the how do you do.
Oh, now comes the fun part of waiting for wash to dry.
This is why, like, I think we need a hairdryer. Just knock it out, you know?
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to do a little bit of purple. I'm going to switch palettes. Porps it up. Huh. Some gobos for whatever reason.
You're working on
Blighted trolls.
So
Did you see the Shadowbringers leak?
is that a Hearthstone thing?
no, Final Fantasy 14.
Oh.
Speaking of, all crafting jobs over 60.
I saw you last night. I've been on trying to finish up my last couple of blue magics. I'm missing 3, and one of the 2 of them I can do if I just get one other person to help me. But
Just shoot me so don't shoot me a message in game because I will not see it because I'm so focused on crafting and so it's just my chat window
Yeah.
is gone.
yeah, but yeah, I've just been trying to get Leviathan. Is the worst. Trying to get Leviathan spell.
Shade for the skin. Done.
Because that boss.
It's a mix of Sanguine
Except
base
they don't have to do extreme. Extreme
beaten
theoretically has a
purple,
better drop rate, but
and
trying to do extreme you'll just see,
Meridius
blue
blue.
mages just
the idea is that this is going to be a nice
it's
blue shade to the model, and it'll help kind of deepen things and give them kind of a turquoisey look, at least wherever I apply it. And the idea is to
Sometimes sweet potatoes. Good job.
hey Kevin. So the idea is to apply it wherever you find the seams, between the fingers, up against wherever the armor plate's going to go, where the legs, there's a little bit of gap between the legs and the armor. And building up some visual interests. Alex, I can't open links right now while I'm on stream, but I will check that out as soon as the stream ends, and I'll hopefully get you some feedback. And need to clean up a little bit above the eye. Make sure that it sits all right. Come back in. Paint in some fingers. And really just kind of finish up the skin. Oh, David should be quite pleased with that. And on to the second loon boss, the melee weapon one. Just as an FYI, guys, I will be out of town next week. Me and Kai are going to the ACD Open Day, which is a great place for us to see upcoming games and changes to some of your favorite games. I'm hoping to see some Riot Quest, hang out with Will Hungerford, then also kind of see the new stuff coming from Fantasy Flight and all the other fun distributors. So after this, we're going to do some dry brushing to end off the stream, because nothing says cool down time like some good old-fashioned dry brushing. Also, if I was going to do like appropriate photos online of this guy, I would 100% kind of touch up the black wherever I was doing some work. So just basically to give someone like a full actual view on how this guy's looking. The next step for me would be the cloth, and then the metals, and then like the extra bits. So he's probably going to be mostly metallics, but I might do the hairspray technique and add some chip painting to him, because that seems pretty cool. So yeah, let's do some dry brushing. Perfect. All right, so we're going to get some Hurt Fire from P3, and this is going to be for our Fire Slayer's priest, Brune Priest, I think. I don't know. He's got a big staff, and we'll see where Hearth Fire kind of takes him. So for any good dry brushing, you're going to want to take your paint, work it really into the bristles, and get it mostly off of the brush. You're then going to go to your model and start lightly going over it. And the idea is we are going to slowly build up color. The idea is we want to eventually get to a pretty distinct yellow, and Hearth Fire is step one. And the big thing about dry brushing is you most of the time want to go opposite the grain. It's the easiest way to pick up the most color. And really get in some of that good highlighting. The nice thing about all the undertones that we've already done in the beard, the beard is basically 2 oranges with a wash, and we then now up to the highlighting point. So there'll be a lot of colors present in this bad boy.
Can you paint with all the colors of the wind, John?
No. I do have these old blankets that smell a little funny. I can help with that. Too soon?
Too soon, John. All right.
These white people are dangerous. Best line in that movie.
Oh, John, did you see that boss is coming out for the Star Wars Legion?
Yes, I did see that. I'm pretty excited. And dewbacks.
Dewbacks. Oh, still.
Can I add Bosk on a Segway?
I don't see why not. We just have to either build or find you a Segway that's to scale.
Do you think Stormtrooper is going to be detachable from the Dewbacks?
I think so.
Okay.
Are you just going to try to make like a Tatooine scene where there's like a bunch of dewbacks?
Well, I mean, if you want just the Dewbacks, then no Stormtroopers, that would be perfect for you. Unless you like the Stormtrooper on the
I mean,
Dewback.
if I'm going to play Legion, it's going to be Bosk with dewbacks or Gungans, you know.
Well, Gungans are probably going to be a thing in the new Star Wars Legion set.
Yeah. I would definitely play Gungans.
The true Sith Lord?
Yeah. Like, that would be my narrative. Just Darth Jar Jar.
I'm sad that they're actually putting brass.
Wasted potential is what it was. So, I'm going to go to Moldy Ochre, which is a pretty bright yellow, but it's an off yellow. It's not super saturated, and the reason why I'm doing this is because, you know, hair is very rarely like beyond, you know, that kind of color. Just a little bit of dry brushing goes a long way, especially with like a bright color like this. And the idea is too that if for some reason I find that this comes out too yellow and not like orangey enough, then I can come back with like a red ink or even a brown ink. P3 makes this like really nice like chestnutty ink that will take to washes very well. But until that point, I'm really enjoying this and how the model's picking up these colors. So I'll basically give myself like a day or two to come to a conclusion before I take any other steps on this part of the model. But yeah, they are coming along great. I did notice that I was a little bit overzealous with I didn't have enough wash off of my, or paint off my dry brush. So I'm coming in to kind of like fix that, add some lines, cut down on the chalkiness. And that's something that's really important for a lot of painters to remember, is that you guys can always come back to like fix like little mistakes. It's not hard. In fact, it is encouraged. All right, guys, we are getting to the end of the stream. We started a little early, so we'll end a little early. But it's great to be back in painting, so thank you for joining me today. And we look forward to seeing you in hopefully a week or two from